I am super excited for Pokemon Sun and Moon, so I want to do a video on the top 10 features I want and don't want in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Please leave a comment as to what you want to see or don't want to see in Pokemon Sun and Moon, and also leave a like if you agree with some of the things I have to say today. So first off, I just want to see the Pokemon PR studio make a return. I had so much fun with it because it made me feel like I was in the Pokemon world. It made me feel like I was in the anime doing, like, you know, your Verlis is here, he's gonna wreck you, strike a pose, excitement. I got to super dork out. I made so many videos. Unfortunately, I could only save 3. I wish I had the ability to save many more than that, because I had a Dunsparce video, a Klefki video, I had like 3 trainer intros that I was always shifting between. I just made some really silly ones that don't make any sense. I enjoyed it so much, but then at the same time, it felt lacking in like how you distribute it. It's like, okay, you'd either have to shove it in someone's face, which didn't feel right, or there was really no reason to watch it, because you just, like, you can click on their video, it's like, okay, do I know if it's a good video? Do I know if it's not a good video? So maybe some kind of upload feature where you could vote on like the best ones, or like share it between your friends or something. I feel like it would need to be a bit more integrated. Maybe also have like keywords and stuff so you can tag yours and see like what other people are doing that are similar. Maybe share some ideas like that. And I think it might have, I don't know if it needed to be longer, because like 10 seconds, it would take a good time, like a good long while to edit a 10-second video, but at the same time, you couldn't really share it, like, unless you had a DS capture card. And I didn't have a capture card at the time, so most of my PR videos didn't get saved or put on YouTube or anything like that. So it could use an update, maybe get a couple more features, maybe be a little more like you can drag and drop yourself around instead of having like personalized or like already presets. Either way, I want to see some form of like customization in that way, but at the same time, a feature I do not want to see in Pokemon Sun and Moon is trainer customization. I know it's really weird, right? Because you're supposed to make your trainer fit you with style, and then it makes your PR video feel a lot more like you, but looking back on it, they either need to completely change how you get all of your style and how you get all of your clothing and all sorts of stuff like that, or else I'm just not going to enjoy it. I'm not saying that the like race customization or skin color customization is a bad thing. I think that's about as far as we need to go with Pokemon trainer customization, unless it's super in-depth. That's how I feel about it. I feel that the trainer customization in Pokemon X and Y just wasn't enough, so I didn't enjoy it. Like, okay, we need more hairstyles, we need more hair color options. Why can't we make it look like our avatar in a lot of other gaming series? Like, we need either full-on customization, or it's not going to feel enough like how I want to be represented in the Pokemon world. Also, only having like a couple colors of different shirts and a couple styles, like I want like very specific customization. As you can see, like with the way I did my trainer PR videos, I wanted to have a lot more control, and things I have control over I enjoy, but with this it felt like I was running around random cities, trying to go to boutiques, hoping they had the right thing, finding out they didn't, getting disappointed, and then not really enjoying my character because of it. So that's really why I didn't like it, and also I feel that it was very exclusive to the region, that, you know, it's all about style, it's all about that Lumiose fashion going on, so if you take it away from that, it doesn't make it feel as good, and if you update it, then a very key feature of Pokemon X and Y gets kind of lost, and I think that that would be a disservice. Also, I'm not here to like grind Pangoro hats or do anything silly like that. You know, I think it was a good feature, so it either needs to be done a lot better or just not done at all, and that's what I feel about it for Pokemon Sun and Moon. Next up, I want to see a Rotom form in Pokemon Sun and Oh! Hey Rotom Dex! So I've been thinking about doing this video for a month and a half, and I've always wanted another Rotom form, even like since X and Y came out. I'm like, you know what? There's not that much diversity. Everyone's just using like Rotom Wash. You can either troll with Rotom Fan, and then it's super tech outside of there. I know Rotom Heat gets some play, but I've never been a fan of it, so I don't want to use it. I would just like a little bit more Rotom diversity. And then we got Rotom Dex, so I feel like I'm actually satisfied with that. While I'd prefer to have a new Rotom in battle, I think that this is actually a very good way to do it, and Rotom's personality in that Dex is actually what makes it for me, because I feel Rotom is a character, while it doesn't speak, or, you know, didn't speak until a Dex, and we don't really know too much about it. I think that it's actually one of the most fleshed out Pokemon in the entirety of the series, so it's really cool to have it gain a little more. Maybe that's why I also just want to see more forms, a little more development on that Pokemon. It's just a cheeky little guy that possesses appliances and then messes stuff up, and I think that that's awesome. Now, I was looking at the type charts that we could potentially have for Rotom, because Electric's something with Levitate. Well, so far that kind of limits it down to either we could go pure electric type, we have an electric normal typing, electric poison, or electric steel. Because if you get rid of the weaknesses from, like the ground weakness from steel and poison, we're left with a Pokemon that has a lot of resistances and not very many weaknesses, so it'd be like a substitute to Rotom Wash for either different coverage or something like that, you know, Flash Cannon or Sludge Bomb if you want like fairy coverage specifically instead of just stuck with a Hydro Pump. Or maybe there's a new move, you know we need like a Flash Cannon equivalent, you know, something that has like a 110 base power and then gets stab and special attacking, and Rotom could have been introduced with that, but at the same time, Rotom Dex is pretty cool. Either that or like just Mono Electric Levitate is a really cool idea. I'd like to see that on a Rotom. Now, as for a feature I don't want to see returning, I don't want Pokemon to follow me again. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. It was one of the greatest things to ever happen to Pokemon, and Heart Gold, Soul Silver are my favorite Pokemon games of all time, mostly Soul Silver because Lugia. But at the same time, I don't want that to be stripped away from the game. You know, it feels like that was something very specific to the remakes. The games were supposed to be like the ultimate nostalgia trip to embody the spirit of Pokemon and have it be like the greatest trainer experience ever. I mean it for the same with the Pokewalker. While I'd love to have Pokemon follow me, while I would love to have the Pokewalker again, I don't want it to take away from the experience of the best games ever. Kind of like the fashion and style with Lumia City. You know, I think that some things, even though they are the perfect Pokemon experience, they need to belong just as a one-time thing. That way you can appreciate them more. I would love to go, actually, I was like, if I could find my Soul Silver version, I have no idea where it is. If I could find it, I would love to go back and replay the game because there was no better feeling than turning around to my Typhlosion and it's like, whoa, Typhlosion loves you and hugged you out of just like spontaneity. I was like, oh my god. There were engagements, there were interactions with the Pokemon I had that actually brought tears to my eye because I was loving it so much. My Pokewalker, having my favorite Pokemon on me at all times, just like the most insane feeling ever, and I want to keep it that way. I want to have those memories be kept as those memories, and that's why I don't want to see it in Pokemon Sun and Moon. I think that it's perfect the way it is, and we can keep it at some of the greatest Pokemon games and greatest Pokemon experience ever, and I think that that's just fine. As for a feature I want to see return, I want to see the Game Corner return. No, not Voltorb Flip. I did not like Voltorb Flip at all. Here's the thing. I feel perfection, true perfection, cannot exist on this earth, so Game Freak had to put in Voltorb Flip as the one flaw to Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but as for a feature, I still want to see a Game Corner. I want the casino. I loved just grinding away on the slots. But that's the problem, because gambling and child gambling laws are very strict, and they have really started to pop up, and that was like one of the biggest reasons as to why we can't have casinos. We can't have this representation in Pokemon anymore, and it was super unfortunate, but, you know, at the same time I could see why, because I was addicted to, like, this video game gambling in Pokemon. Now, while it didn't translate, I'm not blowing my money at the slots all day, it's still something that, like, I wish these laws didn't exist. These are stupid, stupid laws. They need to go away. I want to go and play the slots in my Pokemon game and grind for TMs once again, especially now. Like, now that TMs are unlimited, once you unlock them once, you're good to go. That's amazing, because I hated having to, like, grind up to several thousand coins, or at least just pay for the coins and then transfer them into TMs. Like, that took way too much time. But if you just buy Ice Beam or Thunderbolt once and you're good to go, yes, please bring it back. And then we can't. Now, I think one of the most heartbreaking things that's ever happened to me with Pokemon was when I went to New Mauville. I read the sign for the Game Corner. That's just like one of the most heartbreaking things ever. Thank you for your support over the years. GG, Mauville Game Corner. Let's just go on to the next thing I don't want to see in Pokemon Sun and Moon. I do not want to see difficulties. I don't think difficulty is necessary in Pokemon. Like, I'm here to experience the game, go through it, and just enjoy myself and not have to worry about, like, man, this is too easy, or man, I need to make this harder. Like, I'm not looking for a challenge when I'm playing Pokemon. That's why like Nuzlocke and all these other things came out. I'm not a Nuzlocke player. I just want to experience Pokemon. I don't want my Pokemon dying. I don't want to have these strict rules or expectations when I play. So having difficulty just seemed very unnecessary for me. And while I would be okay with just the actual game mode being harder from the start, I don't need to have these difficulties change. Like, I don't want normal challenge mode. I want higher levels so I have to grind more. Maybe just better AI, maybe just a slightly higher difficulty throughout the entire game, but no toggle. Don't give me difficulty modes. I just want to play Pokemon. I want that experience to be balanced as is. And I've kind of already proved this before. I've wanted to do a video on just like Pokemon X and Y, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. They were not too easy. They actually had over-leveled Pokemon compared to previous games. The storyline did drag you through it a bit more, and I would say that the game was easier because of the starters and not necessarily the game being easy. You started with the same type attack boosted move. You started with Ember, you started with something, and that's going to be the same Pokemon Sun and Moon. So I think to compensate with that, the game does need to be a bit more difficult, but not as like, oh man, we need a challenge mode or we need a hard difficulty. No, we just need the game to kind of be based around these new expectations, you know? As you were growing up, it was harder to understand about Pokemon, but now there's so many resources, even a kid can go in with a lot more knowledge than they did back then. So I would say that even though Pokemon games have gotten harder, they still need to kind of get a little harder to kind of keep up with the times and keep up with the changes that are going on with it. Also, it's not the EXP share. You can either turn it off or just grind through. It doesn't matter. EXP share was fine the way it is. I don't want to see any of those changes. I just do not want a difficulty setting that ends up changing out how the game is played for the first time. However, if we're talking about like Pokemon files and saves and stuff, there needs to be multiple save files in Pokemon. This is something that has needed to exist since Pokemon has like come out, because we've all had this experience. You know, a spiteful sibling goes and deletes your save file, even though like multiple save files wouldn't delete that. But I think the most common one is like, you know, a younger brother, a younger sister, a cousin, some friend that hasn't played Pokemon before. You know, they pick up their game, they see you have all your stuff, but they want to play it for themselves. They actually want to play the game, and if you've already beaten everything, it's no fun to them. So they restart your game, and that accidentally deletes your save file, and then they go and save because they want to play their game, and now you lose everything forever. I think a lot of people have had this experience before, and that would be remedied by at least one extra save file. Like, that's all we would need. And even then, like, it would be good because if you're grinding for competitive legendaries, if you want to play through the storyline again, you wouldn't have to buy a new game. You wouldn't have to restart your game. It would all be on the same cartridge, and that would be super nice. Also, if Nuzlocks are your thing, you could do a Nuzlocke. It's not my thing, but maybe if I somehow got the urge to replay the game and do a Nuzlocke, I could put on a separate save file, and I'd be good to go. Now, I don't think it's a greed thing. It's not like Game Freak just wants your money, so they're going to make it to where you have to buy another game. No, and I don't think it's like that. Like, you just, like, especially with a Pokemon Bank. You put all your Pokemon in the Pokemon Bank, they're safe, and then you get to do what you want to do. But I just don't want to have to beat the game again. You know, I like being in that in-game state. I like all my battle points. I like to be able to have all the TMs. But if I want to play through the game, or if I want to catch different Pokemon or experience the story again, you know, that's kind of an issue, and I don't want to have to, like, redo everything. I just want to redo a couple of the parts, or at least enjoy it and then not go through a ridiculous grind once again. Save files, please, that would be the greatest thing ever. Now, something I don't want to see in Pokemon Sun and Moon is Zygarde. Unfortunately, as of today, since I was about to make this video like a couple days ago, and then the news struck, and then I played Overwatch, and all these other silly things have been happening. Then today I woke up to the news that Zygarde Complete Form and Zydoge is going to be in Pokemon Sun and Moon, and so far this is the first disappointment I've had with Pokemon Sun and Moon. I've loved the legendaries, loved the starters, loved all the information we've gotten, and this is upsetting to me because I don't think Zygarde fits as a Pokemon. Like, it just doesn't feel like one. I haven't kept up with its story, a little too much mystery about it. It's only like Japan-only information and stuff. I'm not enjoying anything about Zygarde, so I'm not happy to see it in the game, and I don't want it to be in the game, but unfortunately we have it, so yeah, there's that. Now, something I do want to see, raise your hands if you've been back in Diamond Pearl and you've played this game since 4th generation, or even earlier than that, because ball capsules need to happen once again. I felt like Dawn, and I was just picking out my ball capsules. I was planning the perfect route. Alright, it's like, okay, my Pokemon busts out on the scene, it gets hearts, it gets lightning, it gets a smoke effect. I'm going to pair that with the ball style that it has, because like if you had a Dusk Ball would come out and it'd be all smoky already, so you can combo that into other things, and I loved it. I loved just optimizing every Pokemon on my team. You know, I had a Frostlass, so I need to have like the white smoke come in with blue electricity and then a little bit of snowflakes, and it was absolutely beautiful, and that showed I cared about my Pokemon. Like, I'm having the mini nostalgia trip about the hours wasted. You know, I was excited to spend over 20 hours just customizing ball capsules and making sure I had all my seals and having all the fun, and then, like, you know, updating and re-updating and having different ball layouts for different team setups and stuff. I had so many theme teams and I enjoyed it too much. I would love to show you guys all of them because I thought they were pretty cool, but my Pearl version vanished into the ether long ago. I have no idea where it is, lost for many years. It might be in a case that's across from me and it's like in a secret pocket or something, or it got lost when I moved, because I moved from Florida to Washington to Colorado to Washington. There was a hurricane. I don't know where all of my stuff is anymore. You know, it's been pretty crazy. I would love to show you guys my balls, but I cannot do that today, unfortunately. And let's go on to the number one thing, because I could talk about ball capsules all day long, and I do want to see the underground base, because Diamond Pearl had some of the greatest features ever. Ball capsules, underground secret bases, like the min-max involved was absolutely amazing for me. It was gaming perfection to be able to do everything you could do. You know, it's like, all right, I can go out mining, I could get evolutionary stones, I could get in-game items, so it wasn't a complete waste. I'd have to bury all of those gems and then dig them up at the perfect time to make sure they were large enough. I had to fuse gems together. I had to go and clear out my base. I had to get the platinum flag. Running the platinum flag just to make sure I could clear out all the rocks and then build, like, I had a Trickmaster base, you know? I had all the maze blocks, I had walls, I had traps. I felt like the ultimate just scumbag and greatest, like, most mischievous person ever. And then I'd just be outside my base hammering at the walls, getting all the cool secret items and stuff, and like getting perfect at, like, getting the perfection of, like, all right, there's a rock there, mine out everything, finding all the gems, not breaking and collapsing the wall, and then there were the traps. And the traps just made it even better. Cause it's like, I felt like this super code master, like, all right, only my friends knew how to get to my base, or else they would be sent flying across the map, and then they'd get in. But at the same time, it was still a blast like that. And also, it's like, hey, come over to my base, and then you just explode it with traps. And it's like, yo, play capture the flag, and suddenly, as they're like running back to their base, you just kind of blast them in the other direction, or you just stall them out. And like, you could have so much fun with the traps and the bases, and I want to see that again. I just want to see it. So yeah, I do love that Secret Bases returning Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I had a lot of fun with Secret Bases as well, making sure like everything looked great. I do think that the capture the flag was a little too unnecessary, and like getting gold and platinum and all that like hurt my experience. So maybe if they made it a little better, or just keep bases in there, keep a personalized space where you can deck it out and do whatever you want, and have like some kind of mining, have some kind of resource gathering, because I loved it. And I want all these features that I wanted in all these other games in Pokemon Sun and Moon. So hopefully we can see some of them, and maybe it's not too much to ask for. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.